If you can't afford the snoot yet, this is how you can get snoot effects using Photoshop. In this video, I'll also be sharing other Photoshop tips and tricks like how to achieve this type of manipulation, how to get unlimited color grading, how to fix frontal, how to add value and change your background, and a lot more. Let's start with the snoot effect. If I want to apply that snoot effect to my image, the first thing we are going to do, we are going to get the snoot. So just come to this website, pintrest.com, and on the search bar, you can just type in snoot effect. And it's going to open different snoot effects for you, so you can choose any one you want. So if you click on this one, for example, if you scroll down, you are going to see different snoot option. If you click on this one, you're also going to see different snoot option. You just choose any one that works for you or that you want to use. But I'm going to be using this particular one right here. So what I'm going to do for me, I'm just going to save this image. So I want to click on this three dot icon right here and click on download. So this is my image inside my download right here. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to open this image and download it inside of Photoshop. So to do that, I'm just going to right click on the image, click on open with, and click on Photoshop. So once I have that image inside of Photoshop, what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate the layer by pressing up Command J. After duplicating this node layer, I'm going to click on my quick selection tool right here. I'm going to right click until I see this object selection tool. So I'm going to select this object selection tool right here. Once I select it, it's going to show this rectangle. All I'm going to do from here, I'm just going to click and drag like this to select only this node. So immediately I do that, Photoshop is going to detect only where I want, like that. So you can see the selection is around this node right now. What I'm going to do for me, I'm going to press Command J to cut the snoot effect out. So if I just hide all my layers, you are going to see we have only the snoot effect right now. What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to copy this layer I cut out by pressing Command C or Control C. If you're using the Windows, please pay close attention. After that, I'm just going to come to the image which I want to add the snoot effect on, which is this image right here. Now to apply the snoot effect, I'm just going to separate the subject from the background. Now to do that, I'm going to duplicate my background layer by pressing Command J. And you can use any method that works for you that's used to separate subject from the background, but this is how I do mine. So after duplicating the background layer, or after duplicating my layer, I'm going to come to my quick selection tool, and I'm just going to select my quick selection tool and click on select subject. Once I select my subject, I'm going to invert this selection by pressing Command Shift I or Control Shift I if you're using Windows, and press Command J to cut out the subject from the background. So I'm going to rename this layer 1 subject layer and rename this layer 2 background. Now if I turn off my subject layer, you can see we have only the background. The subject is no longer on the background. So I'm going to turn my subject layer on to bring back my subject. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select my subject layer. With my subject layer selected, I'm going to hold Command or Control if you're using Windows. I click on the thumbnail of this background layer. Once I click on the thumbnail, it's going to bring back the selection. So instead of doing the selection all over from scratch, you can just bring back the selection with this method right here. Alright, so after bringing back the selection, now I'm going to invert the selection to affect the subject because right now it's affecting the background. So invert the selection, I'm going to press Command Shift I again. Once I invert that selection, you can see right now the selection is on our subject. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a layer mask by clicking on this layer mask icon right here to add a layer mask. Immediately I do that, I'm going to come to my background layer and drag it below my subject layer. Now, remember, we have already copied this snoot effect. So to be sure, I'm going to press Command C again to copy this snoot effect and just come back to my image. Once I come to this image, I'm just going to paste that snoot effect by pressing Command V or Control V on top of this image right here. And I'm going to press Command T to bring the transform tool and just resize it the way I want. Right now, you can see it's above our subject layer. So what I'm going to do from here, we're just going to drag it below our subject layer. So this snoot layer, let's just rename this layer snoot and just drag it below our subject layer like this to put it behind. All right. Now I'm just going to resize it again and maybe tint it the way I want, maybe like this. All right. So that this works for me. I'm going to hit OK. From what I'm going to do, with my snoot layer selected, I'm going to change the blend mode from normal to screen. Once I change it to screen, if I zoom in, you can see those black inside this snoot effect are no longer there. So let me change it to normal so you can see. Like I said, it's on normal. We have those black in between those white lines. But immediately I change it to screen, you can see those black lines are gone. Right? Now, next I'm going to do, obviously, this is looking too sharp. So I'm going to blur it a little bit. So to blur it, I'm going to come to my filter. I'll first of all convert to smart filter so that I can go back and reduce the blur radius if I want to do that. Alright, so after converting to smart filter, I'm going to click on filter again, click on blur, and click on Gaussian blur right here. Obviously, 88 is looking too much, so I'm going to take the blur radius down a little bit. Let's use about 10 or 12. Let's use 12 and hit OK. Now, from here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my opacity and just take down the opacity of the snoot effects a little bit. Alright, so let's use about 30. I think 30 works. Now, see the before and the after. The before and the after. And if you want this snoot effect to affect the subject as well, what you can do, you can just duplicate this snoot layer by pressing on Command J. Once you duplicate it, take it above the subject layer. Once you take it above the subject layer, change the blending from screen to overlay. Once you change it to overlay, you can see right now it's affecting the subject too much. What we are going to do, we're just going to come to the opacity and just take the opacity down a little bit like so. Let's use about 10. 10 works. Alright. So see the before and the after. And also what you can do, you can come to this note below and reduce the opacity of this one below because we duplicated it. So like this actually works. So let's group everything so we can see our before and our after. Alright. So take a look at the image. This is our before and after. Our before and after. And right now I feel the one on the body is looking too much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to the opacity of this note above and take the opacity down a little bit. I think like this actually works. All right. So see the before and the after. And like I said earlier, from Pinterest, you can actually select any type of snoot effects you want on your image. So you can select any one that works for you. So if you don't have snoot in your studio, this is how you can easily add snoot effects to your image using Photoshop. Now before generative fill, to fix frontal inside of Photoshop is really difficult. It's not impossible, but it's really hard to do. But with the help of generative fill, you can fix your frontal in seconds inside of Photoshop. Let me show you how to do that. All right. So if I want to fix the frontal of this image inside of Photoshop, all I have to do is select my selection brush tool right here. Once I select it, I'm just going to come to my brush hardness, take it to 0, all right, and just paint on this frontal like this, on the lines I want to fill. And all I have to do from here is click on generative fill. And if you can't find a generative fill, just click on Windows. You're going to see contextual tags bar right here. So click on contextual tags bar and generative fill is going to open for you. So once you make that selection, click on generative fill. Don't need to type anything, just click generate. So in a couple of seconds or minutes, depending on how fast the internet is, Photoshop is going to fix that frontal for you. So you have 3 options. This is the first option, the second option, and the third option. And if you don't like any option, you can actually click on generate again to generate new option for you. But I think this first option works for me. So let's see the before and after. This is the before and the after. So that's how you can easily fix filter inside of Photoshop. Now let's talk color grading. Now if you are confused or you don't know the actual color grading to use for your image, there's a way you can actually get unlimited color grading option that you can choose from inside of Photoshop. This is how you can do it. To get that unlimited color grading option that you can choose from for your image inside of Photoshop, the first thing we are going to do, come to layer, click on new adjustment layer right here, and click on gradient map right here. Now before we continue, it's time for you to actually like this video if you've learned anything from the video so far, and also share this video to someone who you think might learn something from this video as well. Thank you. Yeah, let's continue. From here, change the mode to soft light and take the opacity to 30% for now. You can increase it later and click on OK. Now what you're going to do from here, just click on this gradient right here. And it's going to open your gradient editor. From here, change the type from solid to noise. And for the roughness, just change it to 30% as well. And all you have to do from here to get unlimited color grading is to click on this randomize icon right here. So as you start clicking on it, you are going to see different color grading you can actually choose from for your image. So I'm going to continue clicking on this randomize until I see what I like. All right. Let's say I like this particular color grading right here. I'm going to hit on OK. Now from here, what I can do, if I want to increase the intensity, I can just come to my opacity and take the opacity up to increase the intensity of that particular color. Now, if I feel it's too much, I can come to the opacity and reduce the opacity of that particular color grade. Now, see the before and the after, right? The before and the after. So you can use this as a base for your color grading before you start color grading your image. Now, still on color grading, if you want to copy color, or maybe you like any color from another image and apply it to your own image inside of Photoshop, there's a super easy way to do it. And I'm still going to show you how to save that color grade as a lot. So let me show you how you can copy color from another image and paste it to your own image inside of Photoshop. So let's say I have the color palette of this image right here, and I want to apply it to this my image inside of Photoshop. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag and drop this image on top of the image. I want to change the color inside of Photoshop like this. And let's just resize it for now and just put it here and hit OK. So this is the image I want to copy the color from and apply it to my main image right here. Now to do that, let me just rename this layer copy color or color copy so you can know what I'm doing later. Now I'm going to select my main layer, which is my layer 1, come to my image, come to my adjustments, and click on match color right here. Now once this color match option open for you, the first thing we want to do is change this source to our main image. All right, so click on source and just look for our main image. So the number of our main image is T7308. So I'm going to select T7308 and click OK. Now that is our source. Now this layer right here is the layer we want to copy the color from. So right now you can see it's on layer 1. So I want to change it to this our color copy right here. Immediately I do that, it's just going to copy the color of this layer and apply it to our image. As you can see, you have options. You can increase the intensity if you want to increase the intensity of that particular color, but I'm not going to be doing that. I want to leave it at default. So let me just take it down to 100. Also, you can fade it if you want to fade it. So I want to fade it a little bit. Let's fade it to about 50 and see, or 40. 40 works. Now from here, I'm going to hit OK. Now you can see it has automatically copied this color right here and just apply it to our image. Now for me, if you feel the effect is looking too much, you can just come to this opacity and reduce the opacity of this color grade effect if you want to do that. All right, now see our before and after. Now what if you want to save that color grade as a lot so you can apply it to a similar image or another image? This is how you can do that. So let me just delete everything and start all over from scratch. Now if I want to save that color grade as a lot, I'm going to come to my image again, click on adjustment, then click on match color right here. Now I'm going to come to my source, select our image as the source, come to this layer, select our color copy as the layer, and just fade it a little bit. All right, so let's fade it to about 42. And if I want to save that color grade as a lot, what I can do, I can click on this save statistic right here. So from here, it's going to ask you to rename it. I'm going to rename this layer color 1 and select the folder I want to save it on. So it's going to be saved on my document, and I'm going to click on save. And if I want to apply it to a similar image, let me just cancel now. If I want to apply that color lookup to a similar image, let's come to this image right here. So apply that loss to this image. I'm going to come to my image, click on adjustment, click on match color right here. And from here, I'm going to click on load statistics. Once I click on load statistics, I'm going to come to my adjustments and just look for that layer, which is this column 1 right here, statistics, and just click on open. I'm just going to open that color for me. From here, I can choose to fade it if I want to fade it and hit OK. And from here, I can just choose to reduce the opacity if I feel it's too much. So this is the before and the after. The before and the after. So that is how you can copy color and apply it to your own image and also save it as a lot inside of Photoshop. Now, before I show you how I did this maternity manipulation, let me show you how you can create this double exposure effect inside of Photoshop. So to do that, you need two images. I'm going to be using this image right here and this one right here. So you have to choose which one you want to use as the overlay. It's your choice. But for this image, I'm going to be using this particular image right here as the overlay. So I want to paste it on this one right here. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come to this image I want to use as the overlay and just remove it from the background so I can paste it on this other image right here. Now to do that, I'm going to create a stamp visible layer on top of this my retouching by pressing on Command Option Shift A. Once I do that, I'm going to click on my quick selection tool and just click on select subject right here. Now sound to be using it as an overlay. The selection doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to be reducing the opacity later. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to press on Command J and just copy it by pressing on Command C to copy this my subject layer. I'll come to this image. I want to apply it on as an overlay. I'm just going to crop this image, or rather resize it the way I want. So I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that image is going to fit. So somewhere around here works for me. Now, if you have generative fill, you can just click on generative expand and hit generate, and it's going to use AI to automatically fill those space for you. Let's just wait for it to load. All right, so it has finished loading. We have 3 options. This is the first option, the second option, and the third option. So I think this third option works. I'm going to be using this third option. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create a span visible layer on top of this my generative expand by pressing on Command Option Shift E, and just select my subject and just remove it from the background. To do that, I'm going to come to my quick selection again, click on select subject. From the subject layer selected, I'm going to invert the selection by pressing on Command Shift I or Ctrl Shift I, and just press on Command J to cut it away from the background. So I'm rename this layer subject like we did earlier. Remember, subject. I rename this one background. Now my subject layer selected, I'm going to hold Command, click on my background layer to bring back the selection, then press on Command Shift I to invert again and add the layer mask to my subject layer or subtext layer, like I rename it, and just drag the background layer like this. All right. Now, next I'm going to do, I'm just going to press on Command V to paste that image you copy, and just press on Command T to put the transform tool and just resize it. So let's say somewhere around here works. I'm going to hit OK. Now, next I'm going to do, I'm going to remove it from this particular place right here. I'm just going to fade it. Now to fade it, I'm going to add the layer mask to this my overlay layer. Let me just rename it overlay. I just add the layer mask. Once I add the layer mask, I'll pick my gradient map tool. Once I pick my gradient map tool, make sure your foreground color is set to black, and just click on this gradient right here. Click on basic, change it from black to foreground, which is this first one right here. After that, just drag and drop this arrow up like this, and just going to fade the selection a little bit. And also, we can click on this black right here and move it up to fade it even more, depending on what you want. So I think about like this works for me. All right, so what I would do for me, I'm just going to come to my overlay layer, come to the opacity, and just reduce the opacity even more. So somewhere around here works for me. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to add noise. So I'll come to my action, just click on noise right here. And by the way, if you want my action, I believe the link you can get it for free in the description below of this video. All right, so once I click on that noise, if I zoom in, you are going to see we have added noise to the background. All right, so see the before and the after. Just make everything blend. Finally, what I'm going to do, what I like to do rather, I'm going to come to my adjustment layer and just turn this to black and white adjustment layer like that. So I feel like this works for me. Now let me just group everything so you can see our before and after. All right, so these are before and after, our before and after. And that is how you can easily get that double exposure effect inside of Photoshop. And if you don't know how to add overlay to your image or apply overlay to your image inside of Photoshop, this is how you can easily do that. So what we're going to do after doing your scale retouching and everything, we're going to create a span visible layer by pressing on Command Option Shift E or Ctrl Alternate Shift E if you're using in Windows. And we're just going to select our subject from the background. Like I said earlier, you can choose any selection tool or any method you use to remove subject from the background that works for you. But this is how I do mine. So once I start creating a span visible layer, I'm going to click on my quick selection tool right here. And if you want a more detailed selection, click on this drop down right here and select cloud for a more detailed result and hit select subject. So you're going to get a more detailed and accurate result, but it requires the internet connection. So if you don't have internet connection, this is not going to work for you. Alright, so after selecting the subject, I'm going to invert the selection like we did earlier by pressing on Command Shift I or Ctrl Shift I if you're using Windows, and just press on Command J to cut out the subject from the background. I'm going to rename this layer subject and rename this layer background. But my subject layer selected, I'm going to hold Command or Control and click on this top of this background layer and just bring back the selection. I'm going to invert the selection again by pressing on Command Shift I and just add the layer mask to my subject layer like that, and drag this my background layer below my subject layer like this. Now the next thing is to drag and drop the image you want to use as an overlay inside of Photoshop. So I'm going to come to my Finder, come to my download, come to 2024, click on my overlays, click on Teelens overlays, and just look for any overlays I want to use. I'm going to use this overlay right here. I'm just going to drag and drop this image inside of Photoshop. Now from here, I'm just going to resize it. Now this works. I'm going to hit on OK. Next I'm going to do, with this overlay layer selected, I'm going to come to the blend mode, change from normal to soft light or overlay. So I think I'm going to change it to overlay. Once I change it to overlay, obviously it's looking too much. So I'm going to come to the opacity. Since I don't want to change the background, I want to add this as an overlay. So I'm going to reduce the opacity until I feel it's okay for me. So that this works for me. See the before and the after. Let's try one more. So I'm going to come to my overlays again or my backgrounds again and just try something else. Let's try this one right here. So this image, I'm just going to drag and drop it inside of Photoshop and just resize it, right? And hit OK. And just change from normal to soft light and just reduce the opacity. Let's see. All right, I think like this works. All right, so see the before and the after, the before and the after. So you can just drag and drop any image you want to use as an overlay to Photoshop and just change the blend mode and reduce the opacity. So that's how you can add overlays to your image. Now, what about if you want to change the background of your image? Now, this is not adding overlay. This is changing background to the image. What we are going to do, the same process we used to select our subject for the background, we are going to do the same process all over again. But since I've already done that, all I have to do right now is look for a background that actually fits my image and just change it. All right. So I have a background that actually fits this image. I'm just going to look for that background. So I think it's on my video file. This is the background right here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag and drop it inside of Photoshop and just resize it. You can see it fits perfectly. And I'm going to hit on OK. So what I'm going to do I'm just going to blur it a little bit. So I come to my filter, come to blur, click on Gaussian blur, and just blur it a little bit. I think like this is too much. Let's use about 9. 9 works. I'll hit OK. My feed is looking too bright. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to my adjustment layer, click on hue saturation adjustment layer. And with the master, I'm going to take the lightness down for the master a little bit like this. All right. And to bring back some of the shadows, I'm going to add layer mask to this my firefly layer, which is the background. I'm going to add the layer mask. Once I add layer mask, I'm going to pick up my gradient tool. So make sure your focal color is set to black because the layer mask is on white. So I'm just going to click on this place again. Make sure black to transparent is selected. All right. So I'm just going to drag and drop this place up like this, just to bring back some of the shadows. All right. So see the before and the after. So like this works for me. Let me just show you where we started from and where we are right now for the background change. So this is the before and the after, the before and the after. Now, if you want to change the background to make it look realistic, make sure you have something in mind when taking the picture so that you don't have to guess the kind of background that works with your image. Sometimes it works, but it's more difficult. So if you already have something in mind before taking the pictures, it's easier to actually set up your light to fit the image or to fit the kind of background you want to apply to your image after. And finally, this is how I did this maternity manipulation and how you can do it as well if you want to do it. So the first thing we're going to do, we're just going to remove our summary from the background like we did earlier. So I'm going to press on Command J, click on my quick selection tool, click on select subject. After selecting my subject, I'm going to invert the selection by pressing on Command Shift I and just cut out itself from the background by pressing on Command J. After that, let me just rename this layer as subject. Remember, we always do that. Why am I always renaming it subjects? Let me rename it subject. Alright, subject, and rename this one background. Alright, when my subject layer is selected, I'm going to hold Command, click on the thumbnail of my background layer. By now, you should know how to do this. And just invert the selection again by pressing on Command Shift I. So invert the selection and just add a layer mask. Once I add a layer mask, I'm going to drag my background layer below my subject layer like this. Once I do that, I'm going to drag and drop the background which I want to use, which is this ChatGPT image right here. I actually generated this background using ChatGPT. So I'm going to click and drag it inside of Photoshop like this and just make it fit my image. So about like this works for me, and I'm going to flip it. All right, so like this actually works for me. Okay, I'm going to hit on OK. And after I resize it, next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to change the color of the background to match with the outfit our subject is wearing. To do that, I'm going to press on Command U to bring back the hue and saturation layer. Now with my ChatGPT layer selected, which is our background layer, press on Command U to bring the hue and saturation layer. Once this option open, I'm just going to play with the hue to change the color. So I think like this works for me for the color. Also, maybe increase saturation a little bit and also increase the lightness a little bit and hit OK. Now, next I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a bit of motion blur to this image. So to do that, I'm going to come to my filter, click on Blur Gallery, and click on Path Blur right here. Once I click on Path Blur, you can just move this arrow the way you want or the direction the way you want the motion to be. Depends on you. You can move the speed if you want it to be more blurry, or you can reduce the speed if you want less blur. You can move the tamper up or reduce the tamper down. I think I'm going to take the tamper up and just take down the speed down a little bit. But yeah, this works for me. I want to hit on OK. Now for me, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate this my ChatGPT layer and just put it above my subject layer. So to do that, I'm going to press on Command J. Once I press on Command J, just drag and drop this layer on top of my subject layer and just pin it to this subject layer. So to pin or to clip, I'm going to hold Option and just go to show this clipping icon and just clip it to our background layer. Now the next thing I'm going to do, to reveal our subject, I'm going to add a layer mask to our ChatGPT layer. Once I add the layer mask, I'm going to select my normal brush tool. Once I select my normal brush tool, make sure I'm using a soft one brush. Opacity is set to 100, flow is set to 100, my mode is on normal, and make sure my foreground color is set to black. All I have to do from here is just paint on my subject to reveal that effect on my subject like that to bring my subject back. Alright, so let me just paint like this. Like this works for me. See our before and after. Alright, so let me just go by everything so you can see our before and after. So this is our before, okay, and these are after. Our before and after. So these are some useful Photoshop tips and tricks I use for my editing, and I've decided to share with you guys. And if you want to learn how I did this manipulation, this maternity manipulation from start to finish, how I actually got the background from scratch, everything, you can check out this video right here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay creative.